But if you just tell me that, I would probably say, oh, you don't know. But if you ask me, is there another reason that people may not be talking to you in this situation, and help me to think through it, then I'm more likely to see what else is possible and how else I might act in that. So these techniques are really good, and especially the setting the safe space with, the intention, make sure the goal's for them, not just you, that your emotions are right, that you care and you're curious, and you do believe, in their potential for seeing a bigger possibility. If you carry that into the conversation and then you just help them think for themselves, you're more apt to be successful, with your teenagers and your young adults than, giving them your brilliant advice, which they probably won't listen to.
Yes. That's really great advice. A lot of even adults don't like to be told what to do, let alone.
No, I know. I hate it.
We all hate it. Even us in the transformational leadership business, right?
I know.
So,
yeah, it's a funny thing.
Those 3 steps are very powerful steps. And what I'm also hearing you say, this is kind of the song beneath the song, is that questions are really powerful resources in this kind of scenario.
Absolutely. Again, you help people question themselves with, reflecting back. So I hear you're saying this, so tell me more about that, or, what occurred that made you think that? So you're getting me to think for myself. And, I believe that's one of the greatest things we can do for another human is help them think more broadly for themselves, because that's how we help each other develop and grow and expand, in our consciousness.
And I couldn't agree more. And the other thing is, as I sit here saying I agree with you, it's so counterintuitive to how most of us are entrained.
I know.
Told so many things by so many, well-intentioned parents, raising us.
Right.
And then we get the same thing in school, we're told, and we really aren't really taught or encouraged or rewarded for thinking for ourselves.
Right. I know, it's a funny thing. And again, in some cultures, it's even worse than here. I really struggle with this. I teach a lot in China, and the parents are like, no, they have to listen to us. But the generations, right now, the teenagers and young adults, they're not listening. So it's like it's changed. It's really changed, and you have to deal with what you have instead of trying to live with what you think it should be. Because should be's gone.
Should be gone. And I just got back from West Africa. I won't say which country, but a few months ago. And in this culture, they've been colonialized, they've been brutalized, and very hierarchical culture, patriarchy, et cetera, et cetera. And it's basically, whatever my father tells me, I must do. Whether that's an actual biological father figure or the government or the whatever. And the individuals that I was working with, they are just struggling to break free of this prison.
Yeah, and they see it that way. Right. Well, and again, it's like, all right, to a certain point, little children need guidance because they don't know what to do. But at some point, it's like the birds have to kick the bird out of the nest. Well, if they're not able to fly for themselves, if they can't think for themselves, then they're not going to function. So when you, again, looking at what is really required to develop, this person into a fully functioning human being, the best thing you can do is to help them think for themselves. And we don't want to create that whole learned helplessness, where it really doesn't advance, the society or the culture when you do that. So, the elder's going to have to get that somehow, or the children will leave.
Yes, absolutely. So you have you've written several other books, Marcia. I'm just going to call the names because I think some of them actually converge in the conversation that we're having right now. Wonder Woman is one of your other books, and Outsmart Your Brain is another one. And we're talking today about the discomfort zone, how leaders turn difficult conversations into breakthroughs. I know when we talked earlier, I was asking about whether or not you wanted to focus on the brain. And your website is called Outsmart Your Brain, right?
Right.
And so I'm wondering, just say a little snippet about why you called it that and the connection to this conversation.
Well, my first book was Outsmart Your Brain, and I'm just finishing the rewrite of that, so it'll be out in a couple months. I wrote it really when we first started learning about this whole concept of emotional intelligence, and what is it really, and what is it that we're trying to understand in our brain. And it's interesting, Gloria, it's like you said, even though we've all been talking about this now for 2 decades, it's that whole, it's common sense but not common practice. So, how can we make it accessible? I keep looking for easy steps, to help people to practice it and put it into their lives, because there's a great book called Who's in Charge by a neuroscientist, Gazzaniga, and he says if we don't stop and examine what our brain is doing to us, then we do not have free will. So this is a matter of taking charge, of being the masters of our destiny instead of our brains, being the prisoner of our brain.
Absolutely. So I love your. I mean, you are a deep thinker. You are Dr. Marcia Reynolds, and a lot of research goes into your work, your books, your writing. The work that you do with your clients. And I love it, Marcia, because we're both kind of research hounds, but I love how you also simplify that research. I mean, you talked about what we're talking about in general as common sense but not common practice. You talked about 3 steps. You didn't give me like a laundry list of 25 things.
Right.
You talk about creating a safety bubble.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, if you, if there was, 1 or 2 questions that I haven't asked you that you would like to make sure that we cover today, or topics, what might they be?
I love that you asked me about Outsmart Your Brain. I think that the overall, that why is it so important that I understand what my brain is doing? I think that that's the critical question, that for so long we've just decided that our brain, was king and it knew what it was doing, but it doesn't. It does to a certain degree. It helps you, protect you, but it doesn't help you be your best. So again, this whole reflective intelligence, the ability to stop and think, about what is my brain doing to me now is just, I think, critical for us as humans, especially, in these days where the emotions are really high and we're having a hard time connecting.
Yes.
That we have to look inside of ourselves as well as, trying to understand the other.
Well, I love that you're talking about it this way because, a lot of people are also talking about bringing your best self or, being your best or building a better you. And it's not just about, taking the moral high road or the spiritual high road or whatever. It really is about slowing down, hitting the pause button, taking the time to tap into what runs us, right?
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for.
Oh, you're so welcome.
For being on the show and for the work that you're doing in the world. I know that you're doing some phenomenal work. I think you've worked in over 30, 35 countries. Is that right?
I have. I've been lucky. Got to see the world. Yeah.
Marcia, if people wanted to learn more about your work, I know you have a website. Can you tell us about the site? And I know you have a blog. Can you just say a little bit about those 2 resources?
Yeah. So the website is outsmartyourbrain.com, and if you go on there, you'll see many places to subscribe to the blog. And I do write, once a month because I do research everything that I put out there just to make sure I know what I'm talking about. And so there's a lot of tips, but all the old blogs are there so you can read through them. But there's also a lot of other resources, and if you click on Discomfort Zone, there's a sample chapter of the book, there's a quiz, there's support materials. So, there's all kinds of things. If you kind of dig through the site, there's links and exercises and things that would be useful that you can use. So go on there and spend some time, and, hopefully you'll enjoy everything that I share.
Yeah, well, I know I do, and I'm sure that my listeners will as well. You said that you're also updating your book, Outsmart Your Brain, and you're doing updates on your blog about that as well?
Yeah, when I get it done, I'll announce it. It's one of those that I keep promising, and then I just but I was working on it today on the last chapter, so I am nearly done. Yeah, and since it's just an update, it'll be fairly quick to put out. I have a conference in June. I want it to be done by then. So I'll announce it on my blog and, make snippets of it available for people. And, yeah.
Okay. So
and all the books are available on Amazon. So.
Oh, great. Okay, good to know. So the books are, once again, Outsmart Your Brain, Wonder Woman, The Discomfort Zone, How Leaders Turn Difficult Conversations into Breakthroughs, and Outsmart Your Brain will be out in a new edition in the next several months.
Few months, yeah.
So if folks wanted to get in touch with you, is the best way through your website, or do you want to share an email address, or
Sure. There's a connect button right on the website, or just email me at Marcia, and it's spelled Marcia, at outsmartyourbrain.com.
Okay. And
I'm on email just like everybody else all the time.
Good. And that's outsmartyourbrain.com. That's all one word, like smushed together.
Yeah.
MarciaReynolds.com. All right, so we broadcast in the U.S. as well as many other countries around the world, which is why I take the time to spell things out.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. All right. So, again, I want to just thank you, Dr. Marcia, for being on our show. It's fabulous whenever I get to talk with you. So,
thank you, Gloria. I enjoy our conversations as well.
You're very welcome. All right, you have a good rest of your day.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Marcia, thank you. Thank you so much for your passion and your expertise in coaching, writing, speaking, training, and in serving others. Again, if you'd like to learn more about Marcia's work, I know she'd be delighted to hear from you. You can connect with her on her website, and it's called Outsmart Your Brain. So that's www.outsmartyourbrain.com. You can also email her at Marcia@outsmartyourbrain.com. And Marcia is spelled Marcia, so that's Marcia@outsmartyourbrain.com. So this week and last week, we've been talking with Marcia Reynolds about her amazing work in serving leaders. And by leaders, we're talking about folks in business and nonprofits, in government, in schools. We're also talking about parents and students and so many other types of leaders, right? And whether you call yourself a leader or not, you can benefit from the wisdom of Dr. Reynolds. Why? Because we all have relationships that are important to us. And sometimes we all need help just to slow down and learn more about navigating the rough waters of relationships, right? Wouldn't it be lovely if all relationships were smooth sailing? But we know that's not realistic. So Dr. Reynolds helps us with practical, sound advice. Her research is grounded in psychology, neurobiology, or what we call brain science, and leadership. And this program and last week's program is based on her latest book, which is called The Discomfort Zone.